Greetings, brothers and sisters who've come from all over the world. Well, I am very honored to meet all of you in person for a change. Now to answer your first question. Yeah, he really does talk like that in real life. Yeah, that's really how he sounds. Vocalizer, are you on drugs? No, that's him. Yes, that's what a baritone sounds like. For those of you sitting at home right now watching this on YouTube, yeah, you missed a lot, didn't you? What are the realistic chances Jason could show up in person in front of everybody, and you just found out the chances are pretty damn good, actually. Oh, they're in the chat room going nuts right now. Yeah, you told yourself, it's been a decade. He hates people. I do. He's not going to be there. I am. By the way, everybody in this theater who sees me, raise your hands. Okay, everybody sitting at home around the world, by the way, your weekend's a lot less exciting than theirs. Just think this over for a few moments. Oh, no suicide watch. Can I say suicide in New York? They don't even open up the windows all the way. All right, let's take care of a couple of things here first. Where is Miss Montgomery? Where are you? Come on down, the price is wrong. Yes, I meant it. That's what these rows up here. That's why I cleared them out. Yes, come on now. All right, where's Eric? Eric, you were giving me all kinds of hell. Come on. Simple as that. Where are my patrons? I want all of my patrons to come down here to the second and third row, not the first row. Y'all come, Eric, Tiffany, Eric, y'all come to the front row. All my patrons come to the second and third rows. Membership has its privileges.
Why is he doing it?
It's painful.
I need to
Jason really did this in person? Yes, we really did this in person. In Louisiana, we call that lagniappe, something a little extra. In New York, they call this cheese.
Hey, is Brother Elijah here? Yeah, right here.
Sound clip over the speakers. They got me muted up there in the booth, but if I could, brother. If I could, I would. Believe me. I'd have that on repeat, but I'm glad to see you here, brother. We appreciate it. Okay, now where's my brother here for Shreveport? Did I hear somebody say they were here for Shreveport?
Yes, sir.
Oh, come down here front row, brother. No. Oh, no, Stack City got to represent, so, that's the rest of y'all. As a matter of fact, I should come up on stage with me, but I don't know you, so you might be from the Cooper Road, so you might.
Motown.
Oh, Lord, let me stitch you over here. He's from by the airport. They still trying to get their money right, so he's from by the airport here. Some of you have been watching me now for over a decade, and things are radically different than they were when we first started, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, they are very much different from how we started. We were just a rather rowdy group on the internet back then, and today we got presidential candidates very disappointed with me. I didn't go through LaGuardia. They keep pulling me out of line all the time, so I just spared them that one and parked around the corner to the extent you can do that. This is not the power of positive thinking. This is the power of persistence. Period, point blank. There are people telling you what couldn't happen. Not what wouldn't, but would never occur. Now they're talking about how much of it we're not going to get. In a few years, they'll be talking about, y'all don't deserve what y'all just got. That's what it is next. Because that's your birthright. But I want you to understand what the real reason is. I did not do this, as you all know, I've never done this to be famous, I never did this to be rich, I certainly didn't do it for notoriety. That's not the reason I did it. I did it because I think in many ways I had a privileged upbringing. I come from a family of entrepreneurs back when Jim Crow was at its height in what Dr. King called the most dangerous city in America. Shreveport, Louisiana, a place that most of you have not heard of since the last 20 years, and Hurricane Chris. Think about that for a few moments. That's a privilege to have that. Many of us came from the South up into New York City. So that's how you had that culture get started here, but for the majority, that kind of got whittled and beaten out of the way. And what you now have is a culture that says, here, let me see what we can ask other people for and demand it. And they're not giving anything. Everyone else has been given, they talk about their bootstraps. I didn't see any bootstraps. I don't see anybody with bootstraps except us. We're the only ones I see with that. You know something? If you see a black person who's made 7 figures, he earned that, including Diddy. Might have stolen from a couple of them, but he had to get it fair and square.
He stole it.
When we talk about steal is a relative term. We have national holidays for the biggest thieves on the planet. By the way, we have national holidays and presidential candidates who proudly defend it. I should know I've talked to them. I should know I've spoken to them. You all know I did that. He was talking about Uber. You know, Uber stole that too, by the way. Uber stole it right here in New York City. Well, the inspectors and housing inspectors and building inspectors will come and shut your ass down if you are one regulation out of line. But he was able to operate in this city for years with that program Grayball, where they used it to circumvent the police and the taxi cab commission. Did they ever shut Uber down? You don't make enough money to pay for that kind of privilege. You don't. You want to talk about Diddy? Diddy had to have his freak offs legally. You can call it whatever you will. He had to pay for that. You could not operate illegally in the light of day every single day. They would have been come and got you. So how do you beat a system like that? That's just one example, by the way. Literally the rest of them do that. Airbnb, hello, Netflix, Amazon, they did not ask permission. They just opened up shop and here they go. We don't get to have that privilege. But we better start learning. The reason for that is because this place is god-awful expensive. I'm a few blocks away from here, and literally it's almost 5 figures to stay. That is a death sentence. You don't make enough money to stay in Manhattan for $5,000 a month. You don't have it. What are you going to do, cross the bridge over to Brooklyn? Have you seen that tower of Mordor they built over there in Brooklyn? Have you seen that thing? Okay, the Eye of Sauron on top of it. Have you seen that monstrosity? Okay, good look there. What are you going to do? Washington Heights? Cross on over into the Bronx? You think that's going to work? Well, have you figured out that they already got their dibs on it? Most of you New Yorkers are going to have to leave the city. Most of you. Now you're going to try to make your way down to the Carolinas. That's what you think you're going to do. But you haven't checked the real estate prices down there. Most of your realtors in New York are selling you all until you sell your brownstones, come on down to Fayetteville, North Carolina. Yeah, I already know. They're telling you all to come down to Carolinas. You need to go take a vacation down there for a little bit and you'll see how many of you are already there. Have you seen the housing prices down there in Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, Fayetteville, Myrtle Beach, Charleston? It's already waiting for you. The other ones who could flee early are already down there. Want to go further south, Atlanta? God almighty, good luck. Where are you going? Where do you think you're going to go? You already know you can't go down to Florida. Now that's the bad news. You want to know the worst news? Who in here's got kids? Yep, you want to hear about their death sentence? Or would you like me to wait till later? Now let's go ahead and drop it on you here now. Can you imagine what inflation was 20 years ago, what it was 10 years ago, you see what it is today. Can you imagine what the rent will be for your kids in 10 years? Can you imagine what that will be? Oh, I'm not talking about New York. I'm talking about Fayetteville, Raleigh, Durham. I'm talking about down there. Are you all ready for your kids to stay with you a little bit longer? You want to hear about the empty nest? What nest are they going to? How many of you have taught your children the necessity of having the resourcefulness of turning $1 into $2? Of being able to do that, to have a mind that thinks in that way. of turning $1 into $2. Most don't. And we are beholden to the people who do. Them thieves you were just mentioning. They're not thieves. It's called power dynamics. Dr. Claude Anderson taught you that you are living in a competitive society. You try to convince yourselves it is not. Yes, it is. And the rules that work for you as an employee are not the rules that work anywhere else. When you work for someone else, a small structured environment, they make up rules. That's not out here. Uber ain't got no rules. Neither does Airbnb. And if we break through that psychology, that's the first thing you must unlearn. That's the first thing. If you are teaching your children to first and foremost confront the world from a series of rules, there's the first problem. They will go to somebody else who's going to give them those rules you were looking for. While he goes and there aren't any, the rules are for you. Unlimited supply is not dictated by rules. It's dictated by drive and ambition. That's what it's dictated by. Let's go to the next step here. How many of you have already screwed up your kids' credits? I want some of you cable TV people. I need some of you to raise your hand and get this off your chest. You need to have a come to Jason moment. Jesus don't want to talk to you. You need to have a come to Jason moment. Jason, I messed up my child's credit from 3 years old. He started off with a 450 credit score, so I can get some Xfinity. They're not going to raise their hands because there's a camera on them. So when they say, Jason, this is a felony. Don't have this snitch myself. Okay. Well, by the way, yeah, they're going to need that too. How many of you in here have a Credit Karma? Yeah, this is not great. Okay, hey, them thieves you were just referring to, all of them know theirs. How many people in here right now can accurately tell me their FICO score and I'm going to get up and come see your phone? Okay. You're claiming they do, but the only way out there, that'll be the last check. Before you can leave with your cell phone, let me see that number right quick. That number is important. It takes you years for you to get it. Do you understand your FICO score is not really a score of that. It's a score of the value of your word. Will you give me back what I gave you? It gives a place where somebody can go and check that. Did you teach your children how essential that is? Forget a business. As an individual, you can't exist with just the ability to live off your own income. If you cannot leverage income outside of that, money outside of that, you're limited to how much you can work for an hour. That gives you a disadvantage. Them thieves you were referring to there earlier, that's that getting together and pooling the resources you were talking about. Sounds unfair, doesn't it? Until you realize that, by the way, if somebody had the will to sit up here and walk all the way from Venezuela to New York City, I don't think he's intending to go back. I think they intend to do whatever it takes to make it work where they are because they ain't got nothing to go back to. Let me say that one more time. They don't have anything to go back to. Now, how do you beat somebody like that? Well, Jason, they're down there in front of the Roosevelt doing a free OnlyFans. Okay. That's pretty serious. These are conversations that ordinarily don't happen. When I talked to Teddy Riley, he was talking about assets, and his assets are no longer tangible. Nice to talk about your G-Wagon and your Range Rover. The assets they talk about are not tangible. Virgil Roberts, same thing. Sitting up flossing about a car, these guys floss about things that you can't even see or touch. Why do you think they're fighting and arguing so much about their publishing? These people stay in gated communities that literally are not on Google Maps. I know. You couldn't find them if you wanted to. If they do not tell you where they are, you will not find them. Their information is not printed on it either. Oh yeah, their information is not printed on it. If they don't want to find you, you will not find them. Period. How many of us are preparing ourselves and our children for that? Dr. Claude Anderson has been talking about it for 40 years. The world is a gated community now. The poor folks are not behind the gates. Everybody else is. How many of us are preparing for that? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm deceiving you. If you're not already prepared, I got bad news for you. That's what the last decade was supposed to be for. If you think you're going to get up in 2024 and we're going to scramble at the last minute to get it together, that's not the way that works. That's why I was telling you then. I had a young man who called me up last night and told me I spoke to him years ago and told him what not to do. Don't you know he went and got this chick pregnant 2 times? Called me up last night with his lip poked out. Well, Jason, you told me not to do it. And I said, what happened? I didn't. Well, what's she going to do? I said, she's going to do everything to you. Well, how do I get around the child support? Stand in traffic, huh? That's what I was telling you about before. I'm trying to get my money together. I said, yeah, that's why she got you now. But for many of you, that's not going to be enough. I didn't do 8 a.m. for you. I did 8 a.m. for your children. I did 8 a.m. for your great-grandchildren. I did it for them so that they will be creative thinkers. I don't have a problem with you being able to run a ball or dunk a ball. Have you thought about owning it? The smartest thing that's happened in the world to us in the last 10, 20, 30 years has been the big 3. At least the concept of owning. I don't care if it's just three guys on the court. We own that. All those teams in the NBA, hundreds of players, you don't own any of that. This over here you do. Have you ever thought about that idea? Have you ever thought about the idea that it's not small if you own it, if it's yours? You notice that, yes, I'm going to say it here. Adam's going to get in trouble. Adam's cringing back there in the back, by the way. Adam, shout out to Adam. Adam, get ready for this disciplinary hearing Monday. Adam, we heard there was he was the dude with the ponytail. If you all saw him, the guy with the ponytail. His fellow with the ponytails. Get ready for your disciplinary hearing Monday, Adam. Heard there was some commotion down there, Adam, this weekend. Your Jewish friends don't have that problem. They don't worry about having 1,000 people coming to their stores. The Asians don't either. They own it. Whatever it is, they own it. Have you taught your children that? I want them to learn what you didn't. That it's okay to have 100 people if you own that. It's better to have $20,000 that you own than $20 million that you don't. A whole bunch of people got checks waving in front of their faces and then gave up everything else. They gave up the ownership because you don't know how big this thing will be. You have no earthly idea how big it will be, and you're not willing to wait and cultivate it. Your children have the time and the ability to cultivate it. Beyonce Knowles, I love that picture of her when she was a little kid on that album cover. That was cultivation. You ain't got nothing at that age of 12 years old. No, girl, when you get to 22, watch. You're going to change everything. How many of you have that mindset with your children, that you have that patience? I want to talk to the men for a moment. I damn sure did. Adam is cringing at you. Adam is cringing. He stays out there in Tribeca. I love black people. Don't worry, Adam, I'll put a word in for you. But to the men, I want you to understand something. Elijah, did you come here sick?
No. I'm staying.
Did you? Well, first of all, did you leave the house without turning off that smoke alarm?
No, I can't leave it.
Okay, I'm just checking whether or not you did. Knowing Adam, Elijah marched right out without doing it.
That was not his house, it's his house, remember?
Okay, whichever one it is. Did you turn it off? Ice Spice, Lotto, Glorilla, Tusi. They only sold 20,000 albums. Not 20 million, 20,000. Less than $10 a piece. Do the math on that.
Nobody don't buy records no more, though.
That's not true. And tell Taylor Swift that. Tell Beyonce that. Tell Billy Joel that. Tell Metallica that.
They making money on their
Tell Pink Floyd that.
On their shows.
Would you like me to keep going? Taylor Swift's still making albums, sir. Be quiet. Somebody let him know. He's like, no, they don't. Yes, they can still make albums. They make LPs. I'm talking about not CDs, LPs. Meanwhile, to have a hit album today is no longer measured in millions, it's measured in. Do you understand what that concept means? Just that simple. And by the way, they don't even have high-tech engineers for it. How many of you have talked to have a conversation with your children about that? I would be a lot happier with you. I would be a whole lot happier with you having a room full of one-hit wonders. Because you know one of the richest rappers today doesn't even rap anymore. Hello, Vanilla Ice, Mr. Van Winkle. Y'all saw him online. Yeah, one-hit wonder. Yeah, he made a hell of a career out of that, didn't he? I'm perfectly fine with you all having that. New Click Kids on the Block. You want to talk about washed up has-beens, you want to talk about one-hit wonders, that's cool. I'm fine with that. Your kids want to go to the NBA, please make sure they do a good job of that. I have no problem with that. Did you teach them and tell them how to leverage that? Hey, if you're going to be in the NBA or college sports, here's how you can own it. We fought for the last 30 years to give them access to their name, image, and likeness. I'm very glad you have been a part of that. How many of you are having that conversation with your children? I have no problem with your kids going to school and getting a PhD if they can play basketball. Why can't they do both? I want you all to get that out of your minds, that it's no good if he can play basketball. Sure it is. He can hoop and he can own it. He can do both. There's no reason to have to split the baby. He can have the whole thing. Have we had that as a mindset to think about? Even if you couldn't do it. There comes a selfishness that comes from that also. That if you can't do it, it doesn't have value. That if you can't have it for yourself, it has no value. I don't like that. I've met a bunch of you who, if you couldn't have it, you don't see any idea of cultivating it so your children can at least benefit from it. Because you don't see how you can floss with it. What if it's not for you? What if you're here to sacrifice what you were supposed to get for them? The way that Joe Jackson did for Michael. Or the way that Matthew did for Beyonce. Do you have that mindset? Radical difference. For the men in here, every man in here needs to at the very least, have 1 year's income and savings in the bank cash. What are you doing if you don't? What are you prepared for if you don't? Then take a look at your woman who goes and works with folk who got a whole lot more than that saved up. She knows they're ready for anything that occurs. She's not bowing to them, she's bowing to their preparedness. People are going to judge us by our resources, not our excuses. That's the bottom line. And if you've been listening to me for 10 years, do you realize that if you put away $900 a month for the last 10 years, you'd already have all that today? And by the way, show of hands, how many of you have that in cash right now? Your thieves do. Just thought I would point it out. Your thieves do. This guy knows a lot. Perhaps we'll get him to give classes on it.
No, that's your job, Daisy.
I want you to understand, you all can listen if you want to, that's fine. But that's where your future is, and that's where your leverageability is going to be. And that's what I'm giving you. That you're here for some folk who've already been there and done that, and by the way, what do they tell you? You can do everything that they did. There's nothing that they did that you cannot. I gave it to you in the context of music and sports because it's something you can wrap your heads around, but do you know it goes to everything else? Whether it is apps, whether it is IT, whether it is restaurants, whether it is concrete paving, remodeling, skilled trades, you name it. The only element missing is the ownership element. I said all that because most people are not going to glom onto that even after a decade of doing this. So I wanted to make one more announcement here tonight. This will probably be our last get-together. The reason for that is because I feel after a decade here, everybody who's going to actually do something with it, we've already been beating the drum of it for over a decade now. There's no new ground to be given to it. It's not rocket science. The only thing that's missing is whether or not you will. Are you going to take what you get every month and go spend it on what makes you feel good now? Or are you going to start saying, you know what, I'm going to invest it in myself, and even if it's not myself, it's for someone else. 2025 will be a radically different looking year for what I do than what you've seen in the last decade. It'll be a lot different. I already have a group of you who you already know I've contacted and been speaking with you, and we're going to move forward on those things. That's important. The future is going to be a lot more hostile ground than we've had before. Those 20 million illegals that they have brought over here over the last 3 years, I expect that all of them will be fully set up and ready to roll within the next 60 calendar months. You've got 5 years and then they will be off and going in places that most of you consider to be safe. Please understand that even down there in the Carolinas, they are opening up new schools. Oh, you didn't know that? They're opening up new schools, and guess what? They want them, even in your so-called Republican red states. They want them there. You know why? Because that's the money they give the Department of Education. Every child they have in there, they don't care where they came from. That's their excuse to get more money. Now they build new schools for that. And anybody who's from those places or works in there, you already know it's already done. Oh yeah, also out in Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri. Already there too. If you haven't taken a trip to there, you should. Utah, Arizona, Wyoming. You should go check it out. In 5 years, and those will be the ones you really have to be concerned about, because my whole mathematics of this, by the way, if they're 10 years old, 5 years, they'll be 15 years old, you drive your learner's permit or you drive to drive is 16. 5 years. Now they will be the legal ones. The parents are not legal. All the kids will be. All the kids are. They're not, they will be. They are. That's who your kids will be competing against. Not in 5 decades, 5 years. Who's ready? Who can define ready? Can somebody define for me what is ready? Ready for that. Please, someone. Mr. Mouth, somebody, please, define for me what ready is in that context. Yeah, gets real quiet then, doesn't it? Elijah.
Hey, brother, I just got a question.
You always have any questions, brothers. You are the most beloved, clueless nigga. Adam just fainted up. Oh no. Get ready for your disciplinary hearing, Adam.
Code and power tools.
Okay, well, good luck on that one.
Some of this, a lot of this illegal immigration is a backlash to the George Floyd protests.
Dr. Montgomery, hold Elijah's hand. Hold Elijah's hand. He's calming down. All right, Elijah, that was your question for tonight. That was it right there. Jason, this is the Jason's face with impatience. Right here, y'all know what it looks like. This is the face of impatience. Yeah, it gets real serious. All kidding to the side. That's a serious issue there. Do you all realize we're about to pass on a lesser world to our children than the one that was given to us? That's criminal. We are about to give our children a world of no answers. Even in places we thought they were safe. You're going to tell me, you're going to tell them, I don't know what to tell you, go get a degree. I just showed you all that you have over 200 places in California alone that the median housing price is $1 million. All over this country, there is not a single state in this union today that doesn't have at least 2 cities where the median home price is $1 million. Have you taught your kids how to be able to roommate with somebody else without getting pregnant? I'm serious, that's not even a jocular question. Have you taught them how to be able to roommate together without trying to get somebody pregnant? That, hey, we need to be able to get together and stuff and pool our resources. That's pooling resources. Most folk don't think like that. I can't cohabitate. By the way, the thieves on the one hand and the newcomers on the other, that's how they live. And we don't even think that way. This is not a difference in resources or capability. This is a difference in mindset. And has we even had that conversation? No. How many of you are HBCU grads? How many of you HBCU grads had a class where they discussed with you the necessity of cultivating ownership in any way in law school, doctor, anything? Did they talk about ownership or did they just talk about your courses? And you're the only one who owns anything, ma'am. That's why she's down in the front row. You're the only one who actually owns anything. So I wish your professor had gotten around. That's criminal. All right, enough tongue lashing. Now, how many of you actually want to own anything? That's a good show of hands. Now, anybody, anywhere, why? Why do you want to do that?
To establish control.
Power, what's that?
Empowerment.
What is that?
Determine consequences and outcome.
Why?
Control of my own destiny.
What is the outcome you want?
The result of your agenda.
Freedom. Legacy.
Recurring revenue.
Control. As long as you can bring in customers, you can always make money.
If you don't own, you'll be owned.
That's an excellent way of putting it.
Those are all something passed on to my kids.
Legacy.
Like,
Those are the 2 points right there. If you do not own, someone else will own it. And by virtue, they'll own you. How many of you in here think that money is not the most important thing? I want to hear from the people. I want to see a show of hands of the folks who do not believe that money is the most important thing. Will you please explain to me why that is?
I believe money is not the most important thing.
No, say it with your chest, brother.
I said money is not the only important thing because, like you said, if you only got one finger, that's only one thing, and it becomes weak.
Well, I mean the most important thing. I don't mean the only thing.
Oh, well, the most important thing would be my family and my legacy to leave it to.
Okay, but I'm saying that you don't believe that money is the most important thing.
No, because I can just drop some money if you need it to. The thieves is right around here. They're sitting around left and right. So I wouldn't put money as I didn't know.
Doesn't it feel good to say that? It makes people feel moral. It makes them feel altruistic to say those things. Do you see how we got where we are? That's the coping mechanism. That's not a practical, real thing. What you just said is a wonderful feeling. That's not a real thing. The brother right here who raised your hand, please explain to me. Why is it that money is, to you is not the most, when you say it's not the most important thing? Explain that.
I think the most important thing is time, and money is the vehicle to have more time.
Okay, well, you're saying the time. Time is an abstract. You all see, I want you to understand something else. The other brother back there who had his hand up said that money is not the most important thing. Please explain to me what that is.
Protecting the money is the most important thing.
Okay, well, it just comes back to the money, so. Comes back to that.
I'm gonna say health is the most important thing because you can have a lot of money and not be able to help yourself or those around you depending on the situation.
Well, that's fine. I mean, but that would have to be a given there because by definition, if you're not alive, then you don't have any concerns at all. There's nothing important to a person who's not living. There's a reason why I wanted to get in that discussion right there is that, by the way, do you see how long it takes for us to get to a serious conversation? Those thieves you were talking about, that's where they start. Just like that. They start from there. That's it. They don't have to spend any amount of time convincing and jogging and pulling everybody else into it. And can I get you on this hump right here and this philosophical thing? And, oh, can you feel better about this? Can we massage that for you? They don't start from there. We have to start from pulling people to it to get them to accept that. And then you wonder why we are where we are. Do you realize that that's a waste of time? Instead of that just being a settled issue and then we move on to something else, we got to first convince you that that's not a dirty thing or a bad thing. Have you ever thought you're reliving your parents' lives? That idea you picked up to say that's okay, have you ever thought to yourself that you're excusing other people's mistakes, not your own? You're saying that because they told you that because they didn't figure it out. Now it's time for you to figure it out, and they're telling you, no, baby, you don't figure it out. Yeah, you do. And it's okay. It is all right. I did not say that you're supposed to fixate on money. Money is not everything. Yeah, food and water is not everything either. Food's not everything, water's not everything, air's not everything, clothing isn't everything. It's for the folks who want to use that argument. What's the number one cause of divorce? Yikes. Oh, you just turned it to the fellows there who thought they were going to have a happily ever after and health and family. Money's about to derail that. There goes reality for you. I did not say it's going to fix all of your problems, but for everything it can't fix, it's a hell of a down payment. That's the point. So when we can stop arguing about that and get those basic things out of the way, then we can actually start moving on to something else. And the quicker you do that, the better. But if there's friction in doing it, that's the problem. Us arguing and fighting, nobody else is doing that. That's settled. They're just concentrating on how much they're gonna get. We're talking about, do we actually have to do that? Who's got the most homeless people?
Us.
Still not the most important thing? What are the cities that have the highest rates of homelessness?
Los Angeles, New York, DC, Chicago.
What are the top 4 biggest cities in America? Yikes. So those are the places where they get pushed out. You still think it doesn't matter. Now I'm going to say something that's going to upset the men, but the females will be a little bit happier about it. Don't worry, ladies, I'm going to come back to y'all in just a moment. Money is how we keep score. Yes, it matters. I'm going to look at your bank account and I'm going to see how seriously you take life. Yes, I do. If I take a look at your bank account, it's going to show me how seriously you take life or how seriously you do not. Show me a person's bank account and I'll show you what they care about. I will show you what they've invested in. I will show you what they truly believe in. If I take a look at your debit card and see what you spent your money on, cigarettes, he believes in this. Yeah, it matters. And if your money just comes in and is just getting saved up, well, I'm seeing what you believe in. Those are not dirty words and they're not bad things. Men are supposed to be competitive. That's the most important thing you can be. That's what gives you health. That's what gives stability. Now let me go a little bit further. Men don't need help. What did you say? We don't need that. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is to ensure the well-being of our offspring, of our legacy. Legacy is not just your children. Legacy is also what you build and what you put yourself into. Who cares if you lived 500 years if you didn't do anything of permanence? That's what a man does. It is better for a man to have been like Tupac, I don't mean Tupac's whole life, but 25 years of incredible productivity that outlasts anything else than to have lived 2,500 years. And there was nothing left when you were gone. Nothing left, nothing passed on. Health does not mean the same thing for us that it means for the women and the children. If we did not maximize the productivity of it, it meant nothing. Nothing. You want to talk about alpha males, you want to talk about alpha widows. She will remember you for the rest of your life when you make that kind of impression. Ain't that right, Jada Piggy? She would rather have 2 years of Tupac than 2 decades of Will. Tell me I'm lying. Ciara is running around dressing Russell Wilson up like Future.
It's not working.
She got Russell Wilson carrying Future Jr. Do you all know what Future Jr. is going to do here in 4 years? He's going to be doing Instagram pictures with Future Senior. Now, when Russell Wilson gets kicked out of the league here next year, who wants to bet that Ciara going to be sitting right next to Future when they do it? Keep your money to the side. That hurts somebody's feelings to hear. I believe you, Ciara. All right. We'll see how that goes. By the way, that's a legacy too. Don't let the fact that those gentlemen do not speak as genteelly or articulately as you claim I do, don't let that fool you. T.I. doesn't speak as articulately or genteel as I do either. Take a look at the scoreboard. He got a whole lot more out of it than most of us, including myself, did. At least him and his son can fight in the skybox. I'm just saying. I got everybody up in here, every single man, woman, and child up in here. Do I have the children in here? Every single man and woman up in here has had a fight over something that was 1 millionth the size of what they do. I'm not guaranteeing you're going to stay with that person. What I am saying is, by the way, was it worth it? Because that's going to matter more than anything else. Teddy Riley, Dame Dash, Easy, they were willing to take penitentiary chances. 50 Cent down there in my city. That's what they were willing to risk. How much are you willing to risk? How much is it worth to you? How much are you going to give up? What did Dr. Claude Anderson do all this for? Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. Ben, what did they do all this for? What did you get out of it? Because you are their legacy. So what did they just give up the last 5-6 decades for? To spend this day and night evangelizing that. Why did they do that? That's why I ended the film the way I did. They had a dream, and that dream is all of you. When you got up this morning, were you fulfilling that? Everybody wants to talk about how much they love their grandmothers and their grandfathers. By the way, are you honoring them? Personal note, whether you want to hear this or not, I put monuments on my grandmother and my grandfather's graves. You can make of that and like it if you want or not. I didn't put a luxury car in it. I put monuments on theirs. They gave up everything for me. Without stories, not only I'm never even going to know about, I see where I am. That wasn't me. And I owe that to you in blood. And I don't even have biological children. Unless that chick got in Atlanta time zone, unless she's gonna jump up one day on Judgment Day. But I don't even have biological children. And that's how hard I've worked for it. That's what it means. I love hearing people talk about how much they love their grandparents, and then, by the way, what are you gonna give them? What did Jadakiss tell you? His only regret, he has no regrets at all, except I wish my grandmama was here to enjoy the privileges of what I've done. That's why he signed that deal. And that's why he's been touring and making records and everything ever since. He's still paying this to the dead. That ain't lip service. That's real. That is real. If you don't have that in you, it won't work. And it's not going to happen. And you don't need me for that. Hopefully I've helped to articulate it a little bit better, but you don't need me for that. You just need to care about your bloodline. But that's going to be a hard sell. How many of you are actually proud of your bloodlines? No, I mean you are genuinely beat your chest. You are proud of yours. Now this is honesty. Now I like this. This is honesty. This is the real problem. Let's just be real about it. It's kind of hard to get up in the mornings and from 5 in the morning until 12 midnight and sleep 5 hours, and you ain't really proud of your grandparents. You're not proud of your mom. You're not proud of your dad. You don't really want to honor them. Tell the truth, because they haven't honored you. Can we just be real? Travis Kalanick wanted to honor his. Bill Gates wanted to honor his mother. Didn't honor his wife, he honored his mom. Okay. He sees value in his bloodline. So there you go. Now we've finally gotten to the root of it. It's going to be very difficult for me to get you to see yourselves as kings or queens, to see value in it. You don't actually feel that. You're not really seeing it as something majestic. That's for the thieves. Are they really thieves? Or are they kings? Yikes, did Jason just say that? I sure did. Maybe Mark Zuckerberg isn't a thief after all. Maybe he said that name Zuckerberg means something.
Lie.
Would you like to discuss that on his beach in Hawaii? Because standing out there, by the way, it sure does look like kingdom out there. Jason, how you know? I've been there. He's taken a lot more than people think he has. When you go there, it's staggering how much he's actually grabbed. And just let him have it.
Is it still there?
Of course it is. And the bunker. And the bunker. Nothing's going to happen to it. He's probably going to own half the island before it's over. Because that's the real goal. He doesn't want the piece, he wants the whole thing. And he probably will. If Mark Zuckerberg does not get it, Mark Zuckerberg III will. And that's the thing you really got to watch out for. I'm not worried about Mark, I'm worried about 3 generations later. I wasn't worried about Rupert Murdoch's father, I'm worried about the sons now. That's what I'm worried about. Because now they've got empires to go to war with. What do I have to do to get you to see value in yourself, to see your bloodline as something precious and royal? And I don't mean royal in an Afrocentric, we as mothers and queens, and I don't mean that. If you're going to compare it to somebody royal, how about King David? He wasn't born in anything special, but if I hit you in the head with this rock, okay, I'm king now. How many of you do I have, what do I have to do to get you to see yourselves that way? Do you need to?
I mean, if you want to be proud of it.
Dr. John Henrik Clarke told us all that in European society, they teach their children something to believe in, they give them an ideal even if it's not real. Please tell me one of the people that they lionize that the story is actually true. 1492, who sailed the ocean blue? That was biographical, right? That wasn't kind of embellished. The road to El Dorado. Tell me which one of those stories was not embellished, if not outright made up? Tell me. Which one? 4th of July. The Constitution itself. Tell me which one was not made up. Because they needed something to believe in. When they made statues of them, did they make life-size statues of them? How many of you been to D.C. and seen the monuments? Did they make life-size statues of Lincoln? That thing is 4 or 5 times bigger than a human being is. The Washington Monument and the statues of Washington, none of them are life-size. Why do you do that? Aren't you building something that's like, that man was not 8 feet tall, 9 feet tall. Why did you do that? Because it forces you to look up to them. It doesn't matter what the reality was. I need you to carry on this legacy. The reality is irrelevant. Do you believe in it? That's all you have to do. I also told you that you're doing this for the dead and the unborn. So even if you don't know where you came from, even if you have no clue where you came from, that doesn't alleviate you of the necessity of charting out where you're going. Now, if you are convinced that your blood doesn't mean anything and it doesn't have any value, if you are not proud to see your children and saying that is something special and they will not be eating the crumbs because they came from me, comes from Beyonce and Jay-Z, okay, they got that, but not from me. Really? Power is not given, power is taken, young man. That is my answer to if you don't know where you came from. Irrelevant. Power is not given, it's taken. Control is not given, it's taken. It's also taken away. And if you don't use it, it will be taken from you. How many of you have control of your own lives as you stand right now? If it is not taken, it will be taken away. I've spent the last decade to get you to see that, by the way, if you want me to, it's like, do I know somebody who's talking to these other people and get them to say it? Okay, I've gone out and gotten them to say it to you. Folks that you know, you grew up listening to, grew up watching on TV. Okay, Jason has gone and talked to them. They have confirmed that everything he said to you is right on the money. It is 100% accurate. They're telling you, yes, this is true, this is accurate. But if you don't believe that for yourself, then you're going to be scared to take risks, you're scared to get hurt, you're scared to fail. What is failure? Failure is not trying. I went bankrupt twice. Not scared. And nor should you be. I want to give you a concept to remember for the rest of your days. I don't care if you live 1,000 years or if you live just one more. There isn't anything that is going to happen to you that you cannot recover from. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care how bad your money goes. I don't care how bad your health goes. There is not anything that will occur to you that you cannot recover from. The problem is not length of years. The problem is quality of them. And we have a bunch of people trying to extend their length of years, and the quality is garbage. They have children and they're not giving anything. They're not teaching anything. It will not go any differently. If I could convince you that there is absolutely no chance that you will not recover from anything that you venture to do in the next 5 years, is there a one of you in here who would not go all out for it? If I could convince you No matter what happens, good, bad, or horrendous, you 100% will recover from it. And that's a tough sell for some, but for some of you it won't be. When you leave here, we've gone from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Now it's 8 p.m. You don't need it anymore. I brought you here to show you never need it. And we don't need millions of people either. Silicon Valley is not a powerhouse because it has millions of people. It's a powerhouse because it has a few people with $1 million ideas. Oh yeah, and one more thing, and $1 billion work ethic. Mark Zuckerberg is the first one in the office and last one to leave. Can you get Elon Musk to sleep? Thieves. By the way, he's the first one there in the morning and last one up at night. You can say he's getting an entitlement or whatever. Donald Trump is tweeting 24 hours a day. Okay, the man don't sleep. And he needs to. Vince McMahon, I can go down the list. The people the most notorious, even Diddy, drugs or otherwise, they don't sleep. Yeah, they believe in this. Even if they didn't give it to their kids, they believe in this, heart and soul. They believe that their children should be lording over yours, and they are willing to work 24 hours a day to make sure it happens. And let's be honest, they've succeeded. They're already there. Who here is going to have $1 billion work ethic for your kids? There's a bigger question. I see the hands that are up right now. Camera's got that. How many of you have kids? Okay, that's more of them, but those are not the people who just raised their hands.
Not married.
How many of you want children? Even you, Elijah?
I want to be married first.
Let's see, who that girl is? That means something. But you better start thinking about why you even want that. Why is that even important? If you're not doing something for yourself, what exactly are you going to have them for? That means something. Don't worry about DVDs. Y'all are going to get yours. Don't worry about the shout-outs for things. You're going to receive that. But if we don't ever do this again, the legacy I want to leave with all of you is that, by the way, if you don't think your bloodline means anything, you're right. And if you think your bloodline means everything, you're right. If that man sitting next to you is driven, that is your everything, ladies. And if that woman sitting next to you is loyal and assisting, that's everything. And if you don't have one next to you, that's okay too. But you should be most driven for yourself. Everybody else is a beneficiary of that. Period. When you leave here, you have a mission. If not for yourself, then for them. Even if you haven't met them yet. Because there's a lot of you right now, even if you don't have a significant other, you will. Did you do what was necessary to make sure that when they got there, they were rewarded for showing up? Or are you saying, by the way, I'll do it after they get there? I'm going to just do whatever I do right now. When they show up, I'll start doing. No. Start now. If you haven't, start now. You got your time for it. All right, we got a little time here left. A special treat here for anybody. First, on the front row, is there anyone who would like to ask me a question? Okay, you right here, sir.
Yes. First of all, thank you for the film. This was two of the major things that I got from it is contracts and commerce. I'm interested in your perspective of having sort of a global framework and having you critique if this makes sense or not. building as much credit, focusing first on credit, using credit to go into crypto, because the blockchain is where we can protect intellectual property. Crypto is the fastest growing asset class of all time.
You already know how I feel about crypto.
I know, that's why I'm saying it. Taking your crypto to getting citizenship, residency, where you have low taxation or zero taxation, so you can generate more wealth, and then using that to go into commerce, and then complete the cycle where you get more credit in from the businesses that you create overseas or wherever to get more credit to crypto, to citizenship, to commerce.
Show me what you can do on the block here in New York, and then I'll believe you for the rest of the stuff. So before you tell me about the empires in Timbuktu, show me what you can do in Harlem. Show me what you can do in Decatur. Then you have credibility to talk globally. If you haven't mastered this locally, globally is an aspiration. So we need to start actually showing proof of concept, then get with your CPA, and then talk about even the feasibility of doing anything overseas. Because by the way, your real power brokers don't even operate that way. Zuckerberg's not buying a bunch of stuff overseas, he's trying to get a wire. Your billionaires now, they literally got a billionaires road down the street from us, right here. Your global money is coming here. We're trying to get over there and they're coming over here. I wonder why. Who had their hand over here? Okay, brother, you right here on the front row? Yes.
Thank you very much.
Shout out DJ Sega. If y'all don't know this cat, y'all need to know this cat.
I appreciate that, Jason. You discuss how you can recover from anything that happens to you. Can you give us just one of the many hardships that you probably encountered and how you recovered in making this documentary? I know you mentioned COVID stopping your project for a second. Can you discuss any of the hardships and how you recovered in making this documentary?
Every time I set out to go make a documentary film, I had a female who was with me. I cared about her very much, and none of them have made it to the end of it. My work still got done. My real estate still got invested in. Was it very, very difficult? It sure was. And yeah, I'd do it again. Not because I hate you, but because this is the most important thing. You're not here because I'm lovey-dovey. You're here because I'm productive. And this is my legacy. And it's a heavy thing. So yeah, that's going to cost you. Pursuing your purpose as a man is going to cost you. The real thing is having a female who's fully invested in that. If she gets to a point where she decides she needs to be the most important thing, just remember she can be the most important thing, but your purpose is going to go out the window. Now she's going to punish you because you're not fulfilling that anymore. So beware of people who ask you to do things that they don't even want. She doesn't even really want that. Oh yeah, by the way, they all call me back. Okay, but by the way, yeah, they all call me back. So imagine what would happen if I had done that. So these things will cost you. I've had 3 women and probably 1 family member. Although I'm not 100% certain, it kind of shady. But yes, it's going to cost you. It sure will. Matter of fact, it's probably going to cost me before I leave the city. Who else had their hand up over here? You, sir?
How you doing? My name is Elon. Thank you, Jason, for the 8 a.m. And I would like to say, how can we come together as a group and help each other for the future?
That's what you're doing for the last 2 years. That's what you're doing now. Here's the problem. That is an abstract. How much money do you have in cash in the bank?
For me personally?
Is there somebody else talking? We come together over what? That's 3 months rent around Manhattan. So I want you all to understand, that's what I meant by these are platitudes. That's a great sentiment. These other folks not getting together to express their sentiments, they're getting together with resources. Politics is simply the systematic process of how a society divides its resources. If you have no resources, there's no reason to get together. All y'all can do is either get together and dream or argue over the one person who brought something. So if we are going to, quote, get together, it needs to be getting together with folks who brought something to get together over. Everybody's got an idea. Ideas are common as grass. Resources, not so much. So don't waste people's time talking about how do we get together. Did you bring some resources for us to get together with? You got some, they got some, he got some. Hustle respects hustle. And it makes its way from there. We waste time because folks get together and don't have anything. Now the only thing you can do is fight and argue because there's nothing to lose. None of you brought anything. We might as well go ahead and start swinging it. Who had your hand up over here? You, sir?
Yes. Thank you for the platform. And so to your point about being ready, it sounds like that means ownership. So is ownership synonymous with entrepreneurship, or can you have ownership without being an entrepreneur?
Yes. It's called a partnership. Now, you know how I feel about partnerships. But once again, it works out. It can work out as long as you make sure your contracts are good. So partnership means contractual. That's what it means. So yes, that can work, but you need to make sure that that's something you're willing to live with. Once you give other people even partial ownership, what happens later is the ideas grow up and they become a lot bigger and a lot more profitable than you thought it would be. Once that occurs, then people want to start fighting. So if you have partners, you need to be prepared for, by the way, what if this idea is a lot more fruitful than I originally thought it would be? Ooh, I don't like only having 50% of it anymore. So there's where that can become an issue. There's things that are worth going into partnership for. Mark Zuckerberg's in the partnership, he's not complaining. So make sure there's something that you can live with. I don't have a problem with it, just make sure you're not going to come back later demanding to get the other 50% back. You might not have that option. Who is this little person down here behind you, Elijah?
A beautiful black woman.
There you are. I thought I recognized the munchkin. Okay, hello, Angel. Please stay out of trouble. I didn't see you behind Elijah's head for a minute there, but now I recognize who it is. You had your hand up? Yes. You over here, sir.
Oh,
yes, you.
I didn't. I'm not going to ask you a question, basically because of your presentation. Was very interesting, and I know different people have different views, and I know many of us in here got knowledge, you know, and I listen to you, you know, and I like everything that you said. You know, when you ask to who have children, you know, I got 12. I got 7 boys and 5 girls. This is one of my sons right here sitting next to me. One of the things that
Short version, sir. We're pressed for time. Short version.
I didn't hear you.
Reader's Digest version.
Short version.
Yes, what was your question?
Yeah. I would like to see young black people go into business and we set up a program to support them.
Well, I want to go ahead and appraise everybody that right there too, because the brother over here actually glowed on what I was doing this for. Yeah. We've talked about business because once again, that's a framework you can wrap your heads around. You notice I haven't really said that. I said ownership. I want us to start having the idea of ownership. It's okay if you work for the New York Times if you own something of your own. That's all right, that's fine. By the way, what do you own is the question. If all you are doing is working for a monthly or weekly income, you really haven't maximized your gains. The folks you teach you are thieves and other folks who are capitalizing, by the way, they own something. We have a bunch of income, but nothing, very little owned. Even if you just own the house, you all know about the brownstones here. So beyond just businesses, I don't want you to really, that's okay because it's a framework you can wrap your heads around, but my real thing is about what do you own? You talk about assets, crypto is not an asset. Well, stocks, annuities, things like that, that's fine. The real thing is do your ETFs. What do you own?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I own is I have a business that
well, have you prepared to pass it on to him?
Pardon me?
Have you prepared to pass it on to your son?
Yes, I already talked to him about that.
Okay, well, good. You've done,
And my daughters too.
well, great. You've done your part. There's 8 of them, and
Yeah.
that's all you need to do. That right there. You've done the framework. That's it, brother. You're done. So,
And I'm concerned, I'm interested in senior citizen. And I think that the senior citizen.
ain't gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Temptation is a son of a gun, but not gonna do it. Y'all know. Temptation got me. Temptation got me. I'm trying to hang in there with this.
I'm a yield.
I'm gonna be out here in the hallway dancing. Oh, I missed that one. I'm gonna have to yell 3 times to get that one. Y'all know I got makeup for it now. Okay, who else had a question? You, sir.
So, just in case Shorty from Atlanta pops up on you with a kid, and I know you don't have it, what would your 10-year layout be for him or her? That's like being a father. What do you see their first 10 years looking like based on your?
The same thing that was done for me. The bottom line is children at the playground and whatnot, that's something that suits parents. Yeah, your kids are gonna learn how to swing in the jungle gym by biology. These other folks out here, that's not what they're doing with theirs. The folks we complain about, they don't let their children remain children. It's okay to be at the park and whatnot, but are you doing that for your kids or are you doing that for you? Because that's taking time away from preparing them. The whole point of having children is to prepare them for adulthood. And the sooner they're ready, the better. We're trying to figure out how to make them perpetual children so that we feel better about having a playmate. Forget that. So down there in Louisiana, when folks, the wife will tell you, if he's old enough to turn a wrench, if he's old enough to pick up a wrench, he's old enough to turn it. If they're old enough to play Roblox, they're old enough to make it. Y'all seen them elementary school kids from India, they do apps and programs. You've seen that. Okay, is that what they chose to do? No, the parents, what did Dr. John Henry Clark say after World War II, what they do in Japan? They organized their society and they didn't ask the kids what you want to go to school for. They said, we just got our butts handed to us with atomic weapons. We don't even understand what it is. You will go to school for engineering. We don't care what you think. Any of you who've been in the military and served time over there in Asia, you know that the academy system, from the time they go into school, that's what their lives are geared towards, is what university they're gonna go to. That is everything. And they're not asked what they want to do. They're given what they need, and then once they've mastered that, then you can go talk about what you want to do. Make sure your children are capable and competent at something they can actually use. They're sitting there bawling, they're sitting there boo-hooing. That's what kids do. If they had their way, everything would be Oreo cookies and Snickers. That's not parenting. Parenting is, yeah, you don't want to do this. They don't want to do anything except go outside and play. I'm here to teach you how to work, not play. And they will thank you for it. When they get to middle school and see how much far ahead they are than their peers, they will thank you for it. And particularly when you get his age, when they see how far ahead they are, they'll be like, thank you so much for getting me off that jungle gym. Thank you so much for that. The kids who are allowed to stay on it, those are the ones you need to be worried for. Those are the ones out there being carjackers and everything else. Yeah, they were allowed to play and swing around, and then they woke up one morning and realized, by the way, you gotta have a PhD and steal a car now. Who had their hand up over here? Elijah, you asked your question. Just send me an email. Fella next to you.
Can I please join the real estate workshop?
Yeah, I'm gonna take care of that after we finish with them 8 a.m.
Okay.
After I finish with 8 a.m., I'm gonna be doing that.
I had missed your.
No, you didn't get it. No, you didn't miss it. You haven't received it yet. So when I get done with 8 a.m., we had a lot happening there. I had to rush some of these things here through. So I had to put it on pause. As soon as I get done with this, which will be next weekend, then for the most part, the heavy lifting will be done. Okay. Then you all get your emails for that, so I'll get caught up with all of you. So just be watching. I haven't forgotten about you. That's why I let y'all know I haven't forgotten about it. I just wanted to get one of those other things first. Y'all are miffed because I did the truck drivers first. But there's a different issue going on with them. So that's why I had to get them out of the way first. I'm coming back to you all. The real thing is, are you ready while you joshing, by the way?
No, I'm ready.
You sound real ready. You sound very confident. Are you sure you're ready?
Yes.
Okay. Is there somebody with their hand up back there?
I have to say something, Brother Jason.
Okay.
This is Brother Tonetta Halifax.
All right, brother, what's on your mind?
2016, we started a black organization. In 2017, I started listening to you. I learned about power, wealth, and influence. Where we live in Canada, for every $1 a white person makes, a black person makes 60 cents. Since then, we started our organization. We have over 180 black employees. We also, from that time, have homeless shelters for all the homeless brothers and sisters, transition programs for brothers coming out of jail, and we're opening up a healing center for a brother with addiction. And that's all in 2017.
That is great. Do something with it. He didn't waste the last 10 years. By the way, what's happening up there in Toronto is frightening. If you all have not seen, you want to hear about gentrification, New York ain't got nothing on Toronto right now. Toronto, if you have not been, the difference between what Toronto looks like today and what it looked like 15 years ago is night and day. It looks like Shanghai up there now. And everybody's complaining about it, and they don't have price controls or rent controls or anything else like that. So in Toronto, yeah, y'all got to be ready in Canada. And there's Toronto, Halifax, Ontario. But Toronto is the big one right now. It's spreading like a disease. That's why you got a bunch of them trying to come down here now. By the way, they'd rather go try to make it work in Michigan. Well, but that's good news, brother. I'm glad to hear that. You know, you made something of it. That's my legacy. Jason, what's your legacy? That is. Right there. You didn't just serve me. You served other people. And I'm fine with that. Jason, where are your kids at? There they are. There they are. And I'm fine with that. Did anyone else have a question?
Sir, who on your panel did you learn from the most?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, I learned something from everybody. I can't really say that there was the most. Teddy would probably be at the top of that list because you all didn't hear half of what he had to say. There was just so much of it that was packed in there. I learned a lot from Uncle Ralph also as well, but that's socially. But I'd probably just say numerically, probably Teddy and Virgil Roberts, those two together. That Virgil is a wealth of historical information. He is a fountainhead of it. And the difference between what it used to cost us to make it in business and music and what it does now, and music is universal. Music is really universal. I think it's something that everybody should learn. I did from an early age. You all would be amazed what you could do with it. Remember, Teddy just went and drafted his brother really for Rump Shaker. He told his brother here, hey, write down a poem, put some beats to it, and that was Rump Shaker. That wasn't Teddy, that was his brother, after he headlocked him into it. So if I had to say what it would be, I couldn't say just one, but I would put in Virgil and Teddy. That's where I got the most from it. So probably when you see it on DVD, I'll probably include a little bit more into it, but they had a lot to say. I wanted to do this together so that you all can take what I put together on film, on DVD, you can put this in front of a 10-year-old and they'll understand it. It will give them everything that they need to be able to sell 50,000 copies if they got any talent. 50,000, who cares about that? Ice Spice just sold 20,000. Lotto about the same thing. Tootsie, 15,000. Drake and them selling 50,000 right now. DJ Sager, if I'm lying, tell me I'm lying.
Not lying at all.
Now, you work in the industry, and you know they're selling 50,000 copies as a hit today.
That's actually a high number, Jason, because they're barely scratching 10,000.
Nicki Minaj has 228 million followers on Instagram. 228 million. She sold 228,000 copies of her last album last year, Pink Friday 2. Don't believe me? When y'all get your cell phones back, you can go Google it. Now, that's less than 1%. How many of you work in sales? A few of you work in sales. Could you keep your job if your conversion rate was less than 1%? You could not keep your job if you had a conversion rate of less than 1%. It's costing the employer to keep you. She's got a conversion rate of less than 1%. And she's the biggest of the big right now. Lotto, her father just basically told her, here, go make a song. And she didn't. That's okay. That's your competition. That's all right. I think that's a great thing. They should do it one time, just to see if they even can. And by the way, even if they can't perform, that's all right too. They can produce. Maybe your child is more technical. Maybe they can produce. Had you thought about that? Because by the way, what that means with those numbers right there, 150,000 is all Ice Spice made off this thing. That means her engineer made more money than she did. Think about that for a moment. The engineer made more than she did. Okay? That's power. Wonder where she'd be if she could have done it herself. Well, the old boy told her to get up a freestyle, she got him to start twerking. So. Brothers and sisters, by the way, up there in the booth, leave those off. No need me anymore.
Hey, Jason.
Sir? Yes, sir.
Ask you a question. You mentioned something earlier about a house, as long as maybe in a house, you know what I'm saying, as far as owning a house or something. If you don't have a bank account to match that up, but you say you inherited a house, how would you go about turning that into income for just a house?
Y'all are gonna have to get straight, man. Everybody who's unbanked, you can't make nothing work like that. You might have circumstances or whatever, you can't make it work like that. We're gonna have to get our paperwork cleaned up. You can't go to a CPA like that. He's gonna have to get straight because his license depends on it. You can't go to realtors with that, Airbnb or whatever, so you're gonna have to get the paperwork straightened up. It has to be clear who owns it, and it's gonna have to be clear who can finance it if it needs to be renovated, but the paperwork's gotta get cleaned up. We have to get our stuff straight. If you're going to do business, do business. You can't do like Uber and Facebook. It's got to get the paperwork cleaned up, but there ain't no other way. There's no other way. Back there in the back, I think I see somebody with their hand up. Either that or you're in distress.
Hi.
Speak.
So I wanted to basically reiterate what you stated about children in regards to preparation, although there are people who say that they're fathers and mothers, but parenting those children are a different story. So if you don't know about parenting, they need to educate themselves more on that. In regards to preparing your children for the future, I have witnessed others who basically at 2 or 4 years old are preparing their children and showing their children demonstration and also at the range how to use a firearm, how to hunt. It's part of their preparation along with part of their protection. In regards to the house, I heard someone say in regards to how do you turn around the inheritance of a house. Well, in New York City, if you had a brownstone, you could go to city council or your department of, what is that? Forgot the exact department, where you could get the permit and start making each of those floors an apartment. If you wanted to do it that way, that is, you can turn it into a condo, or you could just legally rent it out. Even with a house, you could just rent out rooms. Some need permits and others don't. Mayor Adams, I think, stated not too long ago that if people have basements, they could rent out. Mostly he was talking about the illegals, of course, but who wants to do that if these people haven't invented to even read her? So that's taking a risk. So that pretty much answers the question in regards to investment. There's a lot of ways of investing, but you have to take the time to make sure that you do your due diligent work in regards to getting to that point.
There was somebody straight up here who had your hand up. Yes, yes, you straight up this aisle, yes.
Yeah, my question.
No, over here to the left, is that?
For me.
No, the lady back there. Yes, you ma'am.
Hello, how you doing, Jason?
Hi.
I'm from Chicago, and I'm part of the skilled trades. And
Which one?
tuck point. It's not many of us inside the fields, all across. And I see the things that they do to stop us from working. And I'm always told to just be quiet, go along, play the game. But I'm not the type to do that. So I try to figure out ways to get us more into the trades because that's where the money is. And if I do play the game, then I might get knocked out of the box from helping other people get in. So what advice do you have for me to keep me strong, keep my morals intact, and not let nobody stop me from speaking the truth and still getting us to the top where we need to be? Because what's been said there is, look around. So we're going to take over, and there's nothing nobody can do about it. So that's what they say to each other amongst themselves. And we're trying to prevent that and keep everyone strong, but it's not really going to, benefit us if we can't figure it out and see what they're doing. So
It would be nice if the previous generations had done this work already, but they didn't. So that's why you have a grassroots that have to start with it here now. Particularly in skilled trades, these things go along ethnic lines, and it's been going on for well over a century. First thing I would tell you is stop talking. Stop waving your banners openly. You're making yourself a target. Stop letting them know you have something on your mind. Go and move very quietly. Do not advertise it to anyone, including other folks who look like you. Don't do that. You speak to one-on-one, and that is it, off the job, and only if you think they're solid, and you have to be careful about that. So the number one thing I would tell you is stop talking. Jason, that doesn't sound conducive. No, because you need to be selective, because this is a power dynamic and you don't have any leverage. So it can work, but you cannot sit there and be like a union person trying to recruit people into a union. You don't have that kind of protection. So your being strong part of it is stop talking so much. People will go with you for affinity, but do not walk around with a t-shirt on saying what your agenda is. That makes you a target. You are outnumbered, you are outgunned, you are out-leveraged, you are out-organized. Stop talking. You whisper, don't talk. Which I know is difficult because you feel like you're being, I don't want to say emasculated, but de-empowered. Ma'am, that's strategy. That is strategy. It's not about ego. The folks here in New York, the brothers and sisters who did get strong in the pipe trades here, it's because they whispered. They didn't go talking. The steel workers, the welders, they whispered. They didn't talk. Now they can talk a little bit more, but even still, the folk you're talking about don't even really yell like that. So be strong at being silent. You make your associations, that's all you need. Sounds simple. Kind of is. Over here, brother.
Yes, sir. I was wondering if you had any advice for a union carpenter trying to start a construction company?
Yep, talk to her. Yes, stick your hand up, ma'am. Hi, talk to her. No, get up. Yes, right here, right now. You ain't got a second to wait. I'll do it later. No, you won't. You'll walk out the front door and go straight to 7-Eleven. Okay, who just threw up their hand behind them? Or are you baby mama? No, you. Yes. You look like Cat Williams. Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you. I'm Kenneth Sampson, and I learned a valuable lesson from you that you don't really talk about, which was the passive income. I was one of those fools who invested in USOI. I heard it from you. I took that lesson and I learned it. And that taught me about margin, because everybody was talking about credit. So we make your own credit. You can leverage your own money, and you got assets. You own something. Even though I was the guy who said money in the most.
Did you get my cut?
Oh, yeah. I joined the Patreon and then it expired on me.
I must have given y'all about a few $1 million worth. I told everybody about Disney before it spiked here last month. I told them all it went down to $85. My patrons, remember I told y'all, you might want to buy Disney. The very next week it popped up to $95. They ain't sent me a dime. They didn't give me nothing. They all went and tricked it off at Disney World. They didn't send me a penny. Yes, sir. You over here?
I just want to know when's the next truck driver workshop you're going to do.
Did you show up the last one?
I sent the email, but I didn't get a response.
Okay, well, watch out for the next email. Over here. Yes, you, sir.
Jason, thank you for the show.
for this.
Lie.
Thank you for the film, because this one, it was very eye-opening as far as understanding, taking ownership, and being in the forefront of your own destiny. My question is, the first thing that came on was showing how the cannabis industry was giving these allotments for people to get involved. Have you noticed, especially here in New York City, a lot of them have recently been closed due to, I guess, certain licensing they haven't had? And it seems like they're targeting certain ones, because I'm all around the city, and I just want to know, have you noticed this trend of what they've been doing? Of course. So
it's everywhere. Colorado, California, you name it.
All right, so even with this being, obvious, when we're talking about self-empowerment and trying to start our own or have ownership,
it will be a fight.
It's gonna perpetuate throughout everything.
Everything.
All right.
Underworld, overworld, you name it. If there's $1 out there, they're going to try to block you from getting it. That's the rules.
So piggybacking on what you're saying, even though whatever we go through, we're going to come out, we're going to go through, but we're going to come out on the other end better. How do we withstand that?
Get ready to rumble. Business is warfare. I taught you that at 7 a.m. Get ready to fight. It ain't going to be easy. It's going to be a struggle, period. It is a competition. The rules of an employee do not work over here. Jason, what we're going to do, get ready to fight. Period. What do they do? What do the slaves have to learn how to do? They play dirty too. I remember I said, person behind you, you got your hands up.
Thank you for the film. It's very informative. I got about $70,000. I'm looking to buy a 2-family home. Do you think that's a wise decision, or should I look for, I'm in Jersey, or should I look for something like a single family for like about $300,000? Like, what would you suggest?
Do I have a realtor in the house?
Right here.
Talk to her. No, I'm serious. Yes, she got handled that. Sir, talk to her. No, okay, let me try this the third time. Talk to her. Yes, get up. On your feet. Yes. Move. Y'all, do you see what we got to do? Whoa, Jason, why are we behind? And Jason literally has to sit here and crack notes, sir. The answer's back there. Okay, thanks, Jason. No, go to the answer. Are you sure?
So just to
Okay.
he's coming up with it as an owner of a brownstone. So what he could do is purchase in that 2-family house, rent out one. That's your income right there. That is also paying your property taxes. That's high property taxes. And so that's how you kind of work it out. You're building equity at the same time of owning that property. Also, after a while, maybe you might want to refinance, buy something else, and now you have 2 rentals in that first house that you just purchased. But you don't just give it away, you maintain it. And you separate your personal from your friends and all the rest of that. Like you said, about business. Business and family does not mix. Sorry.
Well, everything depends on getting focused. You can have a great idea, but if I can't get you to get up and go work on it, nothing's going to happen. Keep that in mind also. Usually what happens at the end of our films is usually you all are allowed a couple of hours to sit there and mingle, although I'm going to bypass that for tonight. We're going to do something a little bit more direct here. Some of you are already talking to folks. What I want you to do is I want you to leave. I need you to get up and go work on it now. Before I do that, though, I want to send a special commendation. Eric, Tiffany, your 1+. Angel, come here. I want the 4 of you, come here. Just the 4 of you, not everybody else. No. Don't do that. DJ Sega, I'll send you an email. I don't worry about presidential elections, all I do. So whoever it is going to be up there and whatnot, they're not going to give you a magic carpet for anything here. We are going to have to fight and scrap for everything. The whole thing is get folks to accept that as the reality you see. These seats over here for y'all. That's it.
Oh, is it?
Yes, those chairs are for, just magically pop up. I'll put them there. All right. Somebody sounds like Ferragamo. I'm a motivated person. I don't know how to give you all what that is. I'm not the greatest person in the world. I'm not the most driven person I've ever met. I've met some guys and gals who are more driven than I am. I cannot give that to you. You have to give that to yourself. You plug into that, man, everything else comes from there. I value my bloodline. I value who's before me. I don't ask if how good they were, how good they weren't. Me being here, that's all I need to know. And I take it from there. I don't know how I give that to you. I just know you need it. I just know you need it. I've done everything I can to help you all this time. I will continue to help in the ways in which I can, but the real force multiplier we need right now is for all of you to take that. Don't ask where Jason Black is. You. All of you. Maybe you're not as articulate. Maybe you ain't fixed the fires long just yet. But that's you. The moment you choose to be. And this concludes this broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, all of my brothers and all of my sisters who come from all around the world, remember, eat this, drink this, sleep this, think this, breathe this, feel this, live this. We love this. It is everything you are. Now don't talk about it, be about it. Representing the great state of Louisiana.
See you in DC.
Take a look at that email.
My bus stops running at a certain time. I don't even know what that time it is.
You want me?
I won't?
Yeah. What you do?
Okay.
Call me.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're familiar with my area.
Jason, we're gonna